Hello everyone, how are you? Hope you're well. I actually have my coffee we're in a different room today, okay? We're in the guest room. So I set up my little pile here. Sorry it's not as spacious as the other little corner in my office. So I've got my coffee in my shiny purple iridescent spiky tumbler. Have you guys started collecting these? I love these ones, and the oil spill one is my favorite with the I got a pen mark on that already. My favorite is the oil spill one that I told you guys went 50% off at Target. So I hope you guys were able to get in on this. Basically because the economy has tanked. It seems that you can, if you wait long enough, you can get whatever you want in the Starbucks things. I also think that they are not making them like they used to. Of course, my one that, I had was my favorite. You guys know that I was drinking out of, the one with the Christmas trees. That was from 2003, and it just broke where the water goes inside. So it'll be just a pen holder like all of the other pen holders on my office desk. But I loved that one the most. I loved them when they used to make them that insulated tumbler kind, and you would get them and then you get a drink with it. So you're already knocking, $5 off of the price. And they were only like 13 bucks to begin with. Now they have them out of reach for most people, as these ones are like $29. They're $24.99 or $29 on the large ones, and depending on, I guess, if they have the spikes or not. But I've had enough luck where I've waited them out until I get them on 50% off or 75% off, because they're not selling out. If they sell out in the stores, which they do fast, go to Target, and if you don't see them in one Target, find another Target. The Target's with the Starbucks, of course, and go over there. And then what happens, because I know from when I was a manager at Target, they don't pull out all of the Starbucks stuff, and it gets pushed in the back until somebody rotates the stock, which often isn't until they get more stock. So what happened when I was working there was a couple of days after Christmas, they found 2 pallets of the Christmas tumblers. And they were already, then marked down at 75% off in our system, and then my discount on top of them. So I got a bunch of them for, like $4. So those were the days. Those were the days. Then the pandemic, and then the Starbucks containers were stuck out at sea for a very long time, out on the shipping crate. So then when they came, they were already on clearance, and they came out too. So it's been a mess, and I don't like some of their new designs where they're doing these different collabs with people, and I don't like them at all. Not at all. But I've been collecting Starbucks cups since the 90s. As y'all know, I hail from Seattle, and that's where it all began for Starbucks. So over here, a little bit different setup. Still the same theme with my crystal ball from the Dollar Tree. And okay, don't you love this one? Don't ya? My Minnesota accent slips out every once in a while. This one I think is so cool because I can use it for, doesn't necessarily have to be Halloween. I got this one at the Dollar Tree as well. So $1.25 for that. Isn't it cute? So, how have you all been? Tell me about it. You guys can always email me, TabithaJane0@gmail.com. I love talking to you all on one-on-one, and those of you who write me emails, it can take 1 to 3 weeks, sometimes 1 to 3 months before I get back to everybody, but I do get back. That's what matters. I know that somebody's mad at me because they wrote me an email, and I think it got lost in something because I was having such a problem with the haters that I had to be sure to delete my email. Well, I still have to do that. I have to delete my emails right away so that then if I'm hacked, they'll never be seen. Oh, I didn't answer right away, and I feel so bad because I know that I hurt that person's feelings, and they wrote in there that they asked me a question. I never got back to them, and they're very, very mad at me, and I'm so sorry. Anywho, I hope that you guys are getting ready for Halloween. It's the Saturday before Halloween. And it's getting spooky out there. We've had the most beautiful autumn that I've ever seen, because what happens to us here in the Midwest is the leaves will change, and then we'll get one weird blustery day, and it'll be like summer one day and the deep of winter the next day. You won't know where you're at, who you are, and your bones will ache if you're old as shit like me. And you won't be able to move. You'll just be able to stay in bed and cuddle up and feel every bone that you have. And you didn't even know that you had all those bones because you're in so much pain from the freaking, what is it, the barometric pressure crashing. I don't know what it is, but it hurts. So then that'll happen, and that'll come with this north wind that will just absolutely blow every leaf off the tree. So then we'll just have bare trees for the next 6 months. And, you know, the trees were just changing their colors. Sometimes the leaves will be like air dried than on the ground because they didn't have their full thing. Well, this year we didn't get that weird ass storm. It's still out there somewhere. So the leaves have stayed on the trees, and it's so beautiful. It reminds me of childhood. And I love that, you know, when I talk about the places where I grew up, that there's people like you out there who, you know who you are, that wrote back that you were exactly from the same place. And so it's so funny because I know there are others out there. When I grew up, you know, I grew up on the South Hill of Spokane, right next to Manitou Park. And I went to Wilson Elementary, and as my parents were hippies, or my mom was just plain dumb, she had me walk from my house over on 26 by Manitou over to Wilson Elementary. I crossed Grand by myself, and I was, you know, in kindergarten. But, you know, I learned. I was a street kid. I figured it out. I was the smallest kid in class. So all of the school pictures, you know how it always is that the little shorties be in front sitting down, and you could tell because they line you up height-wise. I was always the last one, and I'd have to hold the frickin' sign. Yep, that's me. So I just remember this time of year, though, in the South Hill, and running through leaves up to, you know, my knees, and just that sound of the crinkly leaves, and just the trees would touch from one side of the street to the other. So it just looks so beautiful and magical. Just all these fall leaves up in the sky again. Oh, I love fall. And I put a little video up of this area where I found with trees of every color, and I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you're in an area where you don't have the trees, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you are, I hope you enjoyed it as well. It just take in all of the beauty. Because otherwise we have 6 months of just dirty snow. I love the snow, so I love a fresh snowfall. But what happens here is that it'll just be like 1 or 2 good snowstorms, and then it'll just be dirty snow on top of that, and no leaves on the trees. It's just very, very barren for quite the season. But we all get through it. Yes, we do. And I found that earmuffs are a huge thing because of the weird weather. So you'll dress for, because sometimes it gets to -30 below, especially with the wind chill. So you have to dress to get from your house to the car in -30 below. And then you get in your car, and then you put the heat up to 68. And then you have to go from your car to the inside of the store, down to -30 again. And then you get inside the store, and it's like 70 degrees. So you learn to just like dress in layers here, and by midwinter, your car looks like you're a homeless person because you have everything that you've worn and taken off in layers, and different shoes. And if you're working, then different shoes. And you got to keep an umbrella in case it's freezing rain. And like I say, I found out the best trick is just to have earmuffs. And I got Ugg earmuffs to match my Ugg boots. And with my Ugg boots and my earmuffs, I generally only wear a coat a couple of times a year. The earmuffs make a huge difference. Then you don't have to have your hair all messed up in a hat. And earmuffs, you know, can kind of be cute with your hairstyle. You can keep them on if you're walking around. If you have not went up to Duluth for the lights, what is it called? Oh, I can't remember what the lights are up there. But if you've not went up to Minnesota in Duluth to look at the lights, they go, is it the day after Thanksgiving until the night before New Year's Eve. It started out as a light show where a man sadly had his wife passing away from cancer, and she loved Christmas lights, so he made an incredible light display out in their yard for her to look at from her sickbed. And as she passed away, the way he handled his grief was just to continue to make this incredible Christmas light show that now people come from all over to see. In the summer, you have to go up to Duluth to just see the North Shore and the beautiful Lake Superior, or Lake Gitche-Gimme, where the lake does not give back her dead, as the song says. And you have to go and get Betty's Pies. Or, if you're here in the winter, you just got to go up there. What is it called? Oh, can't remember. But it's a big light show in Duluth. It's really beautiful. So if you're in the area and you can try to get up there, but you get that cold wind off Lake Superior. So that's when you're going to want to have your earmuffs and gloves. They have free marshmallows for roasting and free hot chocolate too, and chocolate chip cookies. Those are free. You have to pay an entrance to go now through the light show, but very, very worth it. Or yeah, I think I just made that up. I don't think you have to pay for the light show. I think it's the parking that you pay. I remember when we got there and we paid. I think it was just for the parking. In the gift shop. So yeah, maybe we didn't have to pay an entrance fee. Maybe not. I don't know. Just completely made it up. But definitely you have to pay for parking. But, you know, when you get to go and see all that, it's really cool. I think that you can see it from the moon. So, anywho, episode 28, or part 28, as we go into, is a continuation of where we were on part 27 in reading the supplemental discovery letter, and we left off on page 5. And as you can see, I don't peek ahead, but I do run through and just put quick little page numbers so that while I'm going, if I drop them or anything, which happens a lot, I drop my stuff. That's what happens with neuropathy. I dropped a big old fruit basket today. So, yeah, don't let me hold anything of value. Okay. So, episode 28 is going to begin on interrogatory number 7. And it says, plaintiffs requested each statement defendants have made about a person, entity, organization, etc., for which defendants did not have verification of facts from the person or entity whom the statement was made about from January 2020 to the present. I'm surprised they don't just break down and call KJ an entity at this point, because honestly, the ways that she talks about these people, I'm like, how do you not care about how the other person is going to feel on the other end? How do you not care if Miranda Derrick lost a job where she practiced all of her life to get to so that she'd be able to get that job and that happiness and those sponsor deals like for Spanx? How do you not care that she's on the other end losing her job, losing her dreams? Why is it that because Katie Joy's life didn't turn out like she wants it to, she wants everybody else to suffer and feel the misery that she feels? As they say, misery loves comfort, or is it misery loves Southern comfort? Oh, bop, bada bing. I should put that on a shirt. Anywho, with that meme that Fox station put up when they We're talking about the YouTubers that, the social media, that don't know what they're talking about. That picture, put it up and be like, misery loves Southern comfort. It is what it is. When life doesn't turn out the way that you want it to, the answer is not to be God and to hate every other woman for having what you don't. I'll put that up. You know what? Maybe I should put that on a post-it note, and then somebody can stick it to their big ass forehead. But anyway, I digress. Defendants objected to this interrogatory as overly broad. Who are they calling it broad? Overly broad and unduly burdensome. Plaintiffs provided a specific time period for which defendants need to provide instances where they have shared information about third parties, including but not limited to the plaintiffs. Defendants have been the subject of numerous lawsuits for false and unverified statements about third parties. The total amount and frequency of the statements for which defendants have made false or unverified statements is highly relevant to this lawsuit. If this interrogatory is overly broad and unduly burdensome, it is only because the defendants have a regular habit of making false and unverified statements of fact. Boom! Take a bow, Amber. Thank you. Thank you very much. You've done your homework. Okay? We can go home now. Bam! Just kidding. Just kidding. But that's awesome. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to just highlight that right there. Because that is very, very highlightable. And it is true. It's like, okay, well, if this is too much freaking work, then don't create this much work. Okay? You don't want it to be overly broad and unduly burdensome. Don't be a freaking twat. But you know what? As y'all know, when I started this channel, I had a no twats policy because I was getting so many haters from the Watts. It was no T-Watts. No more twats. And if people would just stop being twats, we wouldn't have courtrooms. I know, everybody has to be a freaking twat. Now we're in this big mess. Okay. Defendants are required to answer this interrogatory. Interrogatory number 9. And yes, folks who are jumping up to tell me, what about 8? Yeah, I don't know about 8. Because the setup, I have a little different. Look at how it goes. Interrogatory number 7. And then we're going to roll, and I'm going to show you. All right, now 8. It went right from 7 to 9. There's no 8. I don't know if the people can't count or what it is, but there ain't no 8. So, interrogatory number 9. Plaintiffs requested the number of followers purchased by defendants from January 2020 to the present. Defendants objected to relevance. This lawsuit is based on defendants' false and defamatory statements and dissemination to their followers. Defendants have claimed they are a journalist instead of a social media personality. Purchased followers are relevant to defendants' claimed status as a journalist, as well as to the extent of the dissemination of her false and defamatory statements about plaintiffs. Defendants are required to answer this interrogatory. Boom! Amber, you are on fire. This girl is on fire. Interrogatory 11. See response to interrogatory 2. Boom. Interrogatory 12. See interrogatory 2. Boom. Interrogatory 14. Oh, okay. That's why there's some skipping then, right? Because it's just answering to what they have a problem with her things with. Okay. It looked like everything. And that's why it was going, but no. I was wrong. Oh my God. What if somebody writes how wrong I was and they get 3,500 Twitter forwards again? Oh my God, Tabitha Jane was wrong again. Oh my God, oh my God. Alert the presses, alert the haters, wake them up. Go underneath the bridge, give them their coins and show them. Because I was wrong. Singing the wrong song. Interrogatory 14. Plaintiffs requested information regarding Melanie Kelly and Dean Wilking. Defendants objected on the grounds they are not party to this lawsuit and therefore the information is not relevant. Defendants' initial posting about plaintiffs included numerous references to her communications with the Wilkings. Further, defendants had a hyperlink which connected the Wilkings' social media during the start of her campaign against plaintiffs. As Ms. Paulson has clearly had significant and continued contact with the Wilkings, and it appears much of that information has been shared by Ms. Paulson with third parties, it is extremely relevant to this lawsuit and must be disclosed. Okay. And here is where we can probably see that indeed the Wilkings will be called as witnesses, probably for both parties at this point. I could agree to that. I can see that they didn't want to go full on naming them in the suit, because they know that KJ is problematic and has issues with everybody on earth, especially those that give birth. Because she's the best mommy in the world, don't you know? Don't you know? Interrogatory 15. See response to Interrogatory 2. Further, Minnesota Statute 595 and Cervantes versus Time Incorporated do not protect information shared with reporters by the source. If defendants provided information to a reporter, they are required to disclose that information in a lawsuit where the entire claim is that defendants engaged in a campaign of spreading false and defamatory information. As such, defendants are required to answer this interrogatory. Trying to give you guys something cuter to look at than just this, but it won't stay balanced. Maybe if I move over a little. There we go. There we go. Aren't you guys glad this is a listening page? Because there. All right. Interrogatory 16. See response to interrogatory number 2. Further, the rules stated in your objection do not preclude the release of all information in the context of reporting. Defendants are legally obligated to provide all contacts and publications they remember. They are also obligated to put their due diligence in going over records regarding these contacts. Defendants started posting about plaintiffs in February of 2022. This lawsuit was commenced in March of 2022. On April 6, 2022, plaintiffs sent defendants a preservation letter to defendants informing them of their duty to retain all documents and information regarding plaintiffs. As plaintiffs have already commenced this lawsuit and defendants were aware of their duty to preserve information, it would appear that defendants have purposefully destroyed documents and have either conveniently forgot or purposely did not retain information. Defendants must answer this interrogatory or plaintiffs will reserve all legal options to enforce their rights, compel all discovery, and make whatever motions are necessary for defendants' purposeful destruction of evidence. Bam! We're not playing. We are no longer playing. She's gotten where she's at, and she thinks that the Duggars and the Bates will not come for her because they are part of their quiverful. This is me talking, I'm not reading. Because they're part of the quiverful religion where they basically believe to pray for their enemies and, you know, and not retaliate. So that's why she's going for them so strongly and intently now, because she knows better than to go for anybody else who can get an attorney, because 7M has shown that, okay, we're going to learn from the others before. I think that Michael Todd Chrisley could have gotten very far with his suit, but as he had other things he was dealing with that took precedence to his suit, he kind of, I guess, we'll just say cut bait. He walked. We'll go into that at some point, but Tati threw the first punch, okay? And we are now seeing that this is a war. This is basically a war on KJ, or irresponsible social media creators, and that there are battles. And in a war, some battles are won, and the summation of who wins the war is who won the most battles, or the final battle. But there is information and wisdom to be learned from each battle that precluded the conclusion of the war. And I feel like that's a good analogy to look at what's happening here. In the previous battles are really coming up to war, and whether or not she's going to win this war, I hope that she would learn to change her ways and stop what she's doing to other people's lives. You know, because people are on TLC does not mean that then they are not people, that they are not human, that they don't have human feelings, that they don't have real lives. These are real people with real lives that she is negatively impacting by her campaign of hate. And the toxicity that surrounds it is very tough. Swimming in this pool, there's a lot of turds around in this pool. There's a lot of pee in the pool. And the whole freaking thing needs to be flushed. We'll just, enough with the visuals, Tabitha Jane. All right. So anyway, if the Duggars and the Bates step the fuck up and make a phone call to Amber Slavig, it would be the best thing they've ever done, because they have a right to stand up for themselves. And it's ridiculous that she continues to fight with people that will not fight back. All right, back to the script here. Interrogatory 17. See response to interrogatory number 2. Defendants are required to answer the interrogatory. Plaintiffs in their summons and complaint have alleged defendants stated Robert Shin and 7M Films were involved in human trafficking. If this statement is a paraphrase, defendants are required to answer and state that. Further, plaintiffs did not request what court files defendants reviewed. The interrogatory asks what information was provided to defendants. Defendants are required to fully answer this interrogatory. Now, this is me speaking, not from the script. It is my opinion that if Katie Joy would have stated that Shin was accused of this in a previous lawsuit, she may not be in as much trouble as she is right now, in my opinion. Am I wrong? Well, let's see what the 3,500 people think. Don't make me do the wrong song again. And we'll turn this just for your viewing pleasure. There we are. Yeah, I don't even have Halloween nails on right now because my nails are so broken. I have absolute man hands. So you guys can imagine that this is my hands right here. Reminds me of Elphaba. Have you guys seen Wicked the musical? I've seen it twice. And Elphaba has the green hands. Reminds me of Elphaba. Anywho, interrogatory 18. See response to interrogatory 2. Okay, so we're really going back to that 2. And let me see here. No, I was going to see if I could grab 2 really quick. Let's see. Quest number 2. Request number 2. Yeah, this isn't even in the same one. Sorry, I don't have that. Oh, there we are. There we are. Request number 1. Request number 2. Okay, so where they keep telling us to, or her to, refer to number 2. Is here where it says defendants object to each document request to the extent it seeks information and document. No, that's not it. That's the wrong one. What are they referring to here? Because that ends on 6. Sorry, let me see here. Okay, so if we go over here to request number 2 and the request of the production of documents, request number 2 says, plaintiffs requested documents referenced in responding to interrogatories. Defendants responded that they linked digital copies in post. Defendants are required to provide all documents referenced when preparing answers to interrogatories. If there are specific posts, messages, emails, call logs, notes, etc., which were referenced, they must be disclosed. If there are any documents which, and then it says which, as privileged, it doesn't say which are, defendants must submit a privilege log to plaintiffs. Merely directing plaintiffs to defendants' posts is not a sufficient answer to this request. Defendants are required to answer this request. So that's where we keep getting this kickback to check out number 2. And there we go. Yes. Because, there we are. Put that right back. Let's do that with the, there. There she be. There's your other little crystal ball to look at. Make some visions. Oh, look at how the visions appear. Oh, is Katie Joy going to win this one? Let's see. It's thinking about, nope. It said no. It said no. No. So, interrogatory number 2 says to go to the response for interrogatory number 2, which we just reviewed. Now, see interrogatory 20, see response to interrogatory 19. Interrogatory 21, see response to interrogatory 19. Interrogatory 22, see response to interrogatory 19. And that's for 23, see response to interrogatory 19. And 19 again was the response to interrogatory number 2, which we just reviewed for our ourselves, our health. Let's see here. Okay, so then this is going to go over here as that, and that, yes. So now we are on page 7 of 10 in the supplemental discovery letter. And it also goes in here and it says interrogatory 24. See response to interrogatory 19. Okay. And then we're going to go here and it says interrogatory 25, where we're going to have plaintiff's amended complaint referenced all posts past and present and during the course of this lawsuit. As defendants have continued to post false and defamatory material regarding plaintiffs, all material is relevant. If defendants claim they did not make this statement, then they must answer that in this interrogatory. However, as the interrogatory asks a question about a statement defendants has made about plaintiffs, it is relevant to this lawsuit and defendants must answer the interrogatory. Interrogatory 26 through 40. See interrogatory number 19, which refers us to number 2. Interrogatory 41, see response to 19, which of course refers back to 2. And then we go Interrogatory 45. Plaintiffs requested the reasons for each of the defendants' affirmative defenses. Defendants objected on the basis that it is a legal conclusion. This is not a valid objection to an interrogatory. Pursuant to Minnesota Rules of Civil Procedure 33.02 says, an interrogatory otherwise proper is not necessarily objectionable merely because it is its answer revolves an opinion or contention that relates to facts or the applicable application of law to fact. This question asks defendants to explain their reasoning for their affirmative defenses using application of law to fact. As such, defendants must answer this interrogatory. Interrogatory 46. Plaintiffs asked for the factual basis and reasoning of defendants' denials in their request for admission. Defendants objected to the grounds that this would expand the number of interrogatories. Defendants have failed to provide a legal basis for this objection. Further, plaintiffs have not used all of their interrogatories and therefore an expansion may be proper. Defendants must answer this interrogatory. Now, we are to the part where it is requests for admission. Request number 1. Plaintiffs requested defendant admit they stated 7M Films is a cult on Instagram. Defendants responded by objecting to the request as not stating a time frame and stated that on social media posts speak for themselves. Pursuant to Minnesota Rules of Civil Procedure 36.01, a denial shall fairly meet the substance of the requested admission, and when good faith requires that a party qualify an answer or deny only a part of the matter of which an admission is requested, the party shall specify so much of it as true and qualify or deny the remainder. Defendants have not admitted, denied, nor, it says not instead of nor, so I'm just putting in that word, have they qualified an answer to as the rules require. Defendants did not ask if defendants stated 7M Films Incorporated was a cult on a specific date. The question is to admit that defendants in the past have stated that 7M Films is a cult on their Instagram page. Defendants must answer this question or qualify their answer in good faith. Either defendants have never called 7M Films Incorporated a cult, or they have called 7M Films a cult. This is a specific question of fact which either has happened or has not happened. As such, defendants must answer this request with either an admission or denial. Failure to do so by the below prescribed deadline will be considered an admission pursuant to Minnesota Rules of Civil Procedure, page 36. 01. Okay, this is important because this is yes or no, and that is the way that interrogatories and depositions are supposed to be answered. Much like a traffic light, there's not a lot to go around here. It is yes, no, or maybe so, and maybe so is, well, what made you think that? Okay, you want to say this, then you know what? Step up and defend it. That's what you got to do. You want to play? Well, here you go. Now, that is as long as I can do today. And I thank you so much for listening. I am so glad you are here. So thankful that you are here and that you continue to give me a chance, even though I'm the most hated person in the community right now. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.